Baby dragon fell into a manhole. Only one human stopped to help. Ethan Cole walked through the cold streets of New Chicago Colony after finishing another long shift repairing broken city pipes. Rain fell heavily from the dark sky while people hurried home without speaking to each other. Neon lights reflected across the wet roads, and flying cars moved above the crowded streets. Ethan pulled his old jacket tighter around himself and kept walking. His body ached from work, and all he wanted was a hot meal and some sleep. Then he heard it. A strange cry echoed from nearby. At first, Ethan ignored it. The city was always noisy at night. Machines buzzed, alarms rang, and people shouted in dark alleys. But the sound came again. It sounded weak and scared. Ethan stopped beside an old manhole near a broken streetlight. The metal cover had moved slightly open because of the heavy rain. Another cry came from below. Several people walked past Ethan, but none of them stopped. One man glanced at the hole and quickly looked away. "Probably some alien animal," the man muttered before leaving. Ethan slowly pushed the heavy cover aside and looked into the darkness below. Water rushed through the tunnel under the city. Far beneath him, two small glowing golden eyes stared back. The creature let out a frightened sound. Ethan's heart nearly stopped. It was a baby dragon. The tiny red creature struggled under a fallen metal pipe. One of its small wings was trapped, and dirty water rushed around its body. For a moment, Ethan froze. Everyone knew the stories about dragons. During the old wars, giant dragons burned entire cities beside alien armies. Most humans feared them. But this one looked terrified. The baby dragon cried again and tried to move. Ethan looked around. Nobody else cared. "Great," he whispered. "Now I have to help you." Without thinking longer, Ethan climbed down the wet ladder into the tunnel. Cold water reached his knees as he moved toward the creature. The dragon hissed weakly when Ethan touched the heavy pipe. "Easy," Ethan said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." Using all his strength, he lifted the metal pipe enough for the dragon to pull itself free. The creature collapsed against the wall, shaking badly. Ethan carefully wrapped it inside his jacket. The baby dragon looked up at him with frightened golden eyes. Then it stopped shaking. Far above the street, a hidden security camera quietly recorded everything. And somewhere high in orbit above the colony, alien officers watched the human carrying the lost dragon through the rain. Ethan had no idea his simple choice was about to change the entire galaxy. Ethan reached his apartment building just before midnight. Rainwater dripped from his clothes while the baby dragon stayed hidden inside his jacket. The tiny creature remained silent the entire way, only peeking out with nervous golden eyes. The apartment building looked old and worn down like most places in the lower city. Flickering lights buzzed in the hallway while broken pipes rattled behind the walls. Ethan quickly unlocked his small apartment and stepped inside. The dragon slowly crawled out from his jacket and looked around the room. "Not much," Ethan said with a tired smile. "But it's safer than a sewer." The creature gave a soft growl and limped across the floor. Ethan noticed blood near its wing. "Hold still," he said. He grabbed an old medical kit from the bathroom and carefully cleaned the wound. The baby dragon flinched at first but did not bite him. After wrapping the injured wing, Ethan placed some leftover meat from his refrigerator onto a plate. The dragon sniffed it once before eating quickly. "Guess you were hungry too," Ethan said. For the first time, the small creature looked calm. Ethan sat on the couch and watched it carefully. He knew keeping a dragon was dangerous. Colony law demanded all alien creatures be reported immediately, especially dragons. But he could not forget how frightened it looked in that tunnel. The baby dragon slowly walked closer and curled beside Ethan's feet. A warm orange glow appeared inside its throat. "You know," Ethan said quietly, "you kind of look like burning coal. Maybe I'll call you Ember." The dragon blinked at him. Then it made a small happy sound. The next morning, loud alarms echoed across the colony. Ethan turned on the news screen inside his apartment. A serious woman in military uniform appeared. "Emergency announcement," she said. "Citizens are ordered to report any sightings of dangerous alien creatures immediately. Security forces are searching for stolen property connected to a crashed smuggler vessel outside the colony walls." An image suddenly appeared on the screen. It showed a baby dragon. Ethan stared in shock. "Wonderful," he muttered. The news report continued. Officials believe the creature belongs to a rare royal dragon bloodline. Anyone hiding the animal will face immediate arrest. Ember looked at the screen and moved closer to Ethan. A loud knock suddenly came from the apartment door. Ethan froze. Another knock followed. "Security inspection," a voice called from outside. Ember quickly hid behind the couch. Ethan's heart pounded. Outside the building, black military vehicles stopped beside the street while armed soldiers entered nearby apartments. Far away inside an orbiting alien station, a young scientist named Lisa Ray watched security footage of Ethan rescuing Ember from the manhole. Unlike the officers around her, Lisa did not look angry. She looked curious. "A human risked his life for a dragon," she whispered. None of the alien commanders understood it. But Lisa suddenly wanted to meet the man named Ethan Cole. Ethan opened the apartment door slowly while trying to stay calm. Two armed security officers stood outside. Rainwater dripped from their dark armor while scanning devices glowed in their hands. "Routine inspection," the taller officer said. "We're searching for illegal alien materials." Ethan forced a small smile. "Sure. Go ahead." The officers stepped inside. Ember stayed hidden behind the couch without making a sound. Ethan tried not to look nervous as the soldiers searched the apartment. One officer scanned the kitchen while the other checked the bedroom. Then Ember sneezed. A tiny burst of smoke floated into the air. The officers immediately turned. What was that? Ethan's mind raced. Before he could answer, the apartment lights suddenly shut off. The entire building went dark. People shouted in the hallway as emergency alarms started ringing. "Power failure," one officer growled. In the confusion, Ethan quickly grabbed Ember and moved toward the back exit. The little dragon clung tightly to his jacket. They escaped through a maintenance stairwell while security teams rushed through the building searching for problems. Outside, the streets had become crowded with frightened civilians. Flying drones hovered overhead while giant screens warned citizens to remain indoors. Ethan kept his head down and hurried through the crowd. "We need a better hiding place," he whispered. Ember looked up at him and gave a worried growl. Suddenly, three men stepped out from a nearby alley. They wore dark armor with no military symbols. "Mercenaries." One of them pointed directly at Ember. "There it is," the man said. Ethan backed away. "I don't want trouble." The mercenary laughed. "Too late for that. Hand over the dragon." The men raised energy weapons. Ember growled loudly and moved in front of Ethan. The tiny dragon's throat began glowing bright orange. Ethan's eyes widened. "Ember, wait." A burst of fire exploded from the dragon's mouth. The flames slammed into the ground near the mercenaries, forcing them backward in shock. People nearby screamed and ran. The mercenaries fired wildly, but Ethan grabbed Ember and sprinted into the crowded streets. Above them, security drones recorded everything. Across the colony, videos of the event spread rapidly online. Humans watched in disbelief. A dragon had protected a human. Inside an alien command center, angry officers shouted at each other while watching the footage. But Lisa Ray remained silent. She watched Ethan shielding Ember during the escape. Most humans feared dragons. Most dragons hated humans. Yet somehow, this frightened little creature trusted Ethan completely. Lisa quietly stood from her chair. "Prepare my shuttle," she said. One officer looked confused. "Where are you going?" Lisa kept watching the screen. "To meet the human who stopped to help." The abandoned subway tunnels beneath New Chicago were cold, dark, and almost forgotten. Old train tracks disappeared into endless shadows while rusty pipes leaked water from the ceiling. Ethan sat beside a small fire inside one of the empty stations. Ember slept nearby, wrapped inside an old blanket. The little dragon looked peaceful for the first time since Ethan found it. But Ethan could not relax. Security drones still searched the city above them. Giant screens showed his face beside warning messages calling him a criminal. All because he helped a frightened creature. Ethan rubbed his tired eyes. "This is getting out of control," he whispered. A sudden sound echoed through the tunnel. Footsteps. Ethan quickly grabbed a metal pipe and stood protectively in front of Ember. A woman slowly stepped out of the darkness. She wore a gray travel coat with no military armor. Her dark hair rested over one shoulder, and strange silver markings glowed faintly near her eyes. "Alien." "Relax," she said calmly. "I came alone." Ethan tightened his grip on the pipe. That's what people usually say before causing problems. The woman glanced toward Ember. The dragon immediately walked toward her. Ethan stared in shock. "You know her?" The woman knelt beside Ember carefully. "My name is Lisa Ray," she said softly. "I studied dragon behavior for many years. Ember trusts you, so I doubt you are dangerous." "Funny," Ethan replied. "The military disagrees." Lisa's expression became serious. "The military is exactly the problem." She explained everything. Ember was not an ordinary dragon. The little creature belonged to an ancient royal bloodline connected to powerful alien families. Certain military leaders wanted control of that bloodline to dominate remaining dragon species across the galaxy. Ethan listened carefully. "So they're hunting a baby because they want power?" Lisa nodded. "And they will destroy anyone protecting it." Ember moved closer to Ethan and rested beside him. Lisa looked surprised. "That bond should not exist," she whispered. "What bond?" "Dragons only trust those they believe are safe. Most species fear humans because of the old wars. But Ember chose you." Ethan looked down at the small dragon. "I just didn't want it dying in a sewer." Lisa smiled slightly. "That simple choice may change more than you realize." Far above them, military ships filled the skies over New Chicago. And hidden deep inside government towers, powerful men prepared to hunt them all.